Hey everyone, I just want to say I think that the movie Office Space is really just a story about perspective. Shift your thinking in life and you too can have a glorious and wonderful change for you. Welcome to the movie tour. My name is Vic. I will be your tour guide through the world of Office Space. Do keep in mind there are definite spoilers on this tour and absolutely no alcohol is permitted on the tour cart at any time. So get your ties on, your TPS reports at the ready, and hop on the tour cart as we embark on a trip to MTu&x, the office filled with cubicles, printers, and fun in the movie Office Space. Office Space came out in 1999 and it cost $10 million to make, and it only made $12.2 million. Whew, what a theatrical flop. However, the movie was repeatedly aired on Comedy Central and eventually it did really well on home video. This movie now has a cult-like following. It was written and directed by Mike Judge, who is known for his work on Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, and his hilarious movie, Idiocracy.
Welcome to Costco, I love you. Welcome to Costco, I love you.
Office Space is based on an animated short created by Judge called Milton.
Well, okay, but I'm gonna set the building on fire.
The movie starts off in stop-and-go traffic, and I know we have all been in this situation where you're not moving, so you switch lanes, and then the other lane moves. Of course it does. We see our antagonist, Peter Gibbons, dealing with this exactly, showing us the mundane and mediocrity of his life. Peter is played by Ron Livingston, but originally the studio wanted Matt Damon as Peter, and I feel like that could have actually worked. However, Judge felt that the role shouldn't really have any star energy. They also had Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson audition for the role of Lawrence, Peter's neighbor.
Yeah, I'm doing the drywall up there at the new McDonald's.
Peter enters work and we know it's coming. The door always shocks him, but maybe it won't this time. Let's find out and see. Ah, it does. Well, welcome to what looks like the most boring place to work at ever. MTu&x. I wouldn't last a day. Bill Lumbergh comes to Peter's desk and tells him he messed up his TPS reports. Because you see, here at MTu&x, we're putting on cover sheets on all TPS reports before they go out. Gosh, it's like Peter never got the memo or something. We'll give him another one. We'll give him another copy, it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I have the memo, I've got it. It's right.
Hello, Phil. What's happening?
Next, we are introduced to Milton, probably the best character in the whole movie. He's played by Stephen Root, and when Mike Judge was pitching the project to 20th Century Fox, he did a table read for the executives, and he actually got some of the actors from the TV show King of the Hill for the reading. Stephen Root read several parts, including the part for Milton, and Mike Judge loved his take on the character so much that he actually ended up casting Milton in the film.
But I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
Another one of Peter's bosses drops by to talk to him about his TPS reports. Oh, so you saw he messed that up too. Wow, this guy needs to get his act together, because if he could, that'd be great. Next up, we meet Peter's coworkers and friends.
It's not that hard, David.
Yeah, well, at least your name isn't Michael Bolton.
Peter offers them to go to Tchotchke's to get some coffee. Aw, is Peter not having a good day?
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
They go get coffee where he immediately hates the waiter because he uses the case of the Mondays line too. Peter tells his buddies that he thinks Lumbergh is gonna make him come work on Saturday, and he's gonna do it too whether he wants to or not. Michael says they need to start treating us better because I can make a virus that can rip off the company big time. We also see Joanna for the first time, played by Jennifer Aniston, which is ironic because Jennifer Aniston's middle name is actually Joanna. Aniston is the biggest name in the film and was actually able to film all of her scenes for the movie in just 2 weeks. Peter has a huge crush on her, but he has no confidence in going to talk to her. He also kind of still has a girlfriend that he's trying to work things out with. Her name is Anne, but he suspects that she's cheating on him. I kind of get that feeling too.
What's this I hear about you having problems with your TPS reports?
Yeah. Didn't you get that memo?
The three head back to work where they run into Tom, who says there's a staff meeting and he believes that it's about a consultant who plans on downsizing MTu&x. He's worried about getting fired and he talks of ideas to make money without his job. Tom tells us his idea so he never has to work ever again.
It was a jump to conclusions, Matt. You see, it would be this mat that you would put on the floor and would have different conclusions written on it that you could jump to.
Man, I wish I had that, Matt, so I can jump to a conclusion about whether or not that's a good idea.
It's horrible, this idea.
We meet Peter's neighbor, Lawrence, who can hear everything through the walls. He comes over and he gives Peter an idea on how to get out of working on Saturday if Lumberg asks him to come in.
When a boss wants you to work on Saturday, he generally asks you at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So all you gotta do is avoid him. That's all right, I got it. On the last few hours on Friday, duck out early, turn off your answering machine. You should be home free, man.
Next, we meet Bob Slidell, played by John C. McKinley. It's exactly what Tom had thought. Bob is here to clean house. Milton does what he does best. He rambles on the phone with Peter about how he's mad that they keep making him move his desk. He even threatens to set the building on fire.
And I used to be over by the window and I could see the squirrels and they were married.
The squirrels got married. Wait, they never invited me to the wedding. Aw, nuts. Peter hangs up and tries to sneak out for the weekend, but Lumberg catches him and tells him that he's got to work on Saturday and Sunday. His plan failed. That night, him and Ann go to the hypnotherapist, and he tells the therapist exactly how bad his life is. Dr. Swanson starts putting him into a deep state.
You're beginning to feel your eyelids getting heavy?
You start to see that the doc starts to begin to sweat and looks physically sick until he keels over onto the ground. Everyone is in a panic except for Peter. We get a slow pan up and see that he looks to be finally at peace. The next morning, Peter sleeps in, ignoring his alarm and his phone. Lumberg called him 17 times wondering if he's coming into work. Ann even calls him and she freaks out on him, so he hangs up. She calls back and breaks up with him over the voicemail. And she tells him that she's been cheating on him. But Peter doesn't care. He just goes back to sleep. Look, I absolutely love this movie, and here's why. It points out something truly amazing. Peter absolutely hates his life in one moment, but in the next, even though nothing has gotten better, in fact, his life has gotten worse because Anne dumps him, his outlook on life has now changed. And he's free. He loves life. I'm telling you, everything is about perspective. It's all just a mindset. Life can be great. You just have to shift your mindset to where it needs to be. Make that happen. You don't have to be hypnotized for that. With Peter's newfound freedom in his mind, he goes to Tchotchke's to talk to Joanna. Yeah, change your mindset and now you'll be able to talk to pretty girls too. Joanna meets up with Peter in the restaurant and they hit it off. Peter tells Joanna that he's gonna stop going to work. He invites her to dinner and then offers her to come over later to watch some Kung Fu. She accepts. His life is already getting better. Lumberg tells Milton that he needs to move his desk again. Also, Milton has an obsession with this one stapler and Lumberg claims that it's his and he keeps taking it from him. Swingline actually had stopped making these red staplers, so the one that you see in the film actually had to be specifically made for the movie. And after the movie's release, so many people were requesting that red stapler again that Swingline eventually brought it back to be sold again. Here, Milton threatens to set the building on fire again.
I set the building on fire.
Peter goes to the office, but don't worry, he's not going there to work. He is such an inspiration. He just needs his address book. Michael tells him that he's supposed to have his meeting with the Bobs. Peter is refreshingly honest with the Bobs, letting him know that he's always late and he barely does any work. The Bobs love the info and they feel that they finally understand why Initech isn't working so well and why employees don't want to work or even be efficient.
Good luck with your layoffs, all right? I hope your firings go really well.
Excellent. Great.
On his way out of the office, he completely walks around Lumberg. He has no interest in what the guy has to say, and I think it's hilarious. Joanna gets in trouble at work. Her boss wants to talk about her flair, or lack thereof. The Tchotchke's manager, Stan, is played by the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Judge himself, and I love it when a director does a cameo. When I found this one out, I was shocked. Scenes for Tchotchke's were actually filmed in a restaurant called the Alligator Grill, which is in Austin, Texas. But the Alligator Grill closed down in 2009. It is now Baker Street Pub and Grill. The building used for the exterior shots is now a Chase Bank. The Bobs have a meeting with management and they let them know a couple of people that they're gonna let go. They also tell them they found no record of Milton being employed at Initech. It turns out that he got laid off 5 years ago and no one ever told him, and there was a payroll glitch, so he kept getting a paycheck. But the Bobs, well, they fixed the glitch, so it'll just work itself out on its own. Now we get a montage of Peter. He comes to work and he takes Lumberg's parking spot. He avoids the shock on the door again by taking off a door handle with the drill. He throws away work signs, cuts fish at a desk, takes apart his cubicle, and plays Tetris. He just doesn't care at all. Lumbergh comes to him and asks him if he has his TPS reports ready, and Peter tells him to go away, just go away. Lumbergh then goes to Milton's desk, and Milton tells him he has yet to receive his paycheck this week. Lumbergh just tells him, go check with payroll. Oh, and by the way, I need you to move your desk to the basement.
Yeah, I believe you have my stapler.
The Bobs tell Peter that they are planning on firing Michael and Samir and then promoting him. So Peter finds Michael fighting with a printer again and invites him over to his place. He lets him know that the Bobs are gonna let him go and asks him about that virus he was talking about that can rip off the company. You see, the idea is to take fractions of a penny thousands of times a day, skim off the top, and steal in a way that Initech would never notice. Peter then convinces Michael and Samir to do it, and they make a plan. Next we see Peter getting promoted, and we get this really fancy scene of them passing the floppy disk to each other and then downloading the file onto a computer. It was really that easy.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, I guess it was.
We then hear a story about Tom. After he found out he was getting laid off, he goes home and he tries to kill himself. But his wife catches him in the act, so he tries to play it off like nothing happened. But then as he looks at her, he decides that he wants to live. But then as soon as he backs out of his driveway, bam, he gets slammed hard by a drunk driver. Now he's getting a huge settlement. By the way, this would not happen. He wouldn't get paid anything because Tom was drinking before the crash and there would definitely be a field sobriety test. Also, as he backed out, he wasn't looking, so he's partly to blame here. The boys leave work, and now we get this iconic printer smash scene, which surprisingly, if you watch it close enough, you see that Peter never actually hits the printer in the entire sequence. The next morning, they arrive to Tom's party where he actually made a jump to conclusions mat. Look at that, what a great idea. Peter also finds out at the party that Joanna has slept with Longberg in the past. This bothers Peter so much that they have a fight and break it off. Peter goes to an ATM and sees that his account has $305,000. The boys are now talking about their impending doom, looking up the definition of money laundering. They are screwed. Peter brings up about how he's so upset about Joanna and Lumbergh, and Michael tells him, yeah, it happened years ago, before he even moved to Atlanta. He got the wrong Lumbergh. Orlando Jones then knocks on the door. He shows up trying to sell magazine subscriptions. He claimed he used to be addicted to drugs, so they ask him about money laundering. But it turns out Jones was lying. He was never addicted to drugs. He was just trying to sell more magazines. So he blackmails them into buying some magazines because he knows too much information now.
What am I gonna do with 40 subscriptions to Vibe?
You know, I could use some subscriptions. Press the subscribe button for me. Michael and Samir are very angry at Peter for convincing them to do this. Peter writes a note and sticks it into an envelope along with all the money. He goes to Joanna and apologizes for everything. He lets her know that he's gonna take the blame for stealing the money, and he's gonna bring it to Lumbergh. They kiss and make up. Peter slides the envelope under Lumbergh's door. The next morning we see Milton. He goes into Lumbergh's office to find his stapler. We see the envelope on the ground. Peter says goodbye to Lawrence. He drives to Initech and he sees it's on fire. Milton did it. He had his meltdown. Fast forward to the burned wreckage being cleaned up, a red stapler is found. Peter is now a construction worker, and Michael and Samir are now working at Initrode. They are in the clear. The fire had burned up all the evidence, and the movie ends with Milton on the beach and the envelope on the table next to him. He got the money. Now there is no sequel, however Mike Judge was offered to make it. They even had a title, Office Space 2, Still Renting. Yeah, I'm not sure how that story would go, but Judge declined the offer to make it. Thanks so much for sticking around for the Office Space tour. If you could like this video, that'd be great. And remember, change your perspective, change your life.